very impressive to see. To me, I don't know, this tournament has been a really big nostalgia trip, as actually, I believe Fabien's one plays Cyberstone Garbodor. I think Robin's playing Darkrai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's actually the other way around. But yeah, seeing some of the lists in this tournament has been like a really big nostalgia trip for me. Seeing like Tool Drop Trubbish and seeing the Cyberstone Garbodor, these are all like deck archetypes that I remember seeing play in Standard from so long ago, and seeing them still make their presence here and expanded now is really, really fun to watch as we see, free Ultra Ball prized from Robin's side there.
And the Hooper EX, that is really, really not great for him.
So that's about as... It's basically almost like zero chance of him getting an optimal start with all of that gone.
That's going to be pretty awkward for him. We'll see how he's able to navigate his opening turns, as we are going to see the opening hands from Fabien. Looks like he's finally found himself a basic Pokemon. Looks like there's going to be a mulligan for Robin, as we are going to see some prize cards come down, and the Turtonator tech as well that he's playing, which is a pretty interesting one there. Yeah,
it serves purposes in a few different matchups. You can use it to sort of wall a little bit against the Galissapod Garbodor potentially, and against a few other things just because of the Shell Trap hits a weakness. You can just do some shenanigans there, and it's like another good wall card. Like Seismitoad is good because it's something that your opponent just has to like deal with very slowly because you slow them down. Turtonator slows your opponent down in a different way because if you attack it, then you sort of get hurt back. But we are off, ladies and gentlemen, and it looks like Fabien Pujol of France will be going first, starting with benching a Trubbish and just playing an N.
Yeah, not fantastic. He's started with Tapu Lele, which is not his ideal, so he's going to be looking to find one of his float stones to try and move that out. He does have a couple of turns to get the Quaking Punch. Obviously, going first means he can maybe attach manually some energy to the Tapu Lele to retreat it, so really all he needs to do this turn is try and develop that Seismitoad as quickly as possible and maybe get one energy attachment in there this turn.
Yeah. Something else we should mention, of course, about Fabien Pujol is that although he may not have quite the same level of prolific accomplishments as Robin might have, for example, he's still no slouch himself. You've seen him like a couple of times on stream. He has had previous successes, so he's definitely going to try and give Robin as hard of a time as he can, and if any deck is going to give an opponent a hard time, it's going to be something Seismitoad based.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So both players on 4-0-1 records. A win here would mean that they're pretty much guaranteed to make it into the top 8 tomorrow, so there is a lot to play for right now. Robin kicks off with an energy attachment, and he then just goes for a Professor Juniper, and is now going to continue his turn with the Battle Compressor here, and as is often the case, he is going to start getting rid of some Darkrai GX as quickly as possible, as well as potentially some more Darkness energy, depending on how many are already in there.
Yeah, a little bit of an unfortunate Juniper even. Was it Juniper or Sycamore?
It's the same card.
It is the same card, that's very true. But a bit of an unfortunate discard for Robin is who's forced to both discard a Dark Patch and a Max Elixir. Of course, he will have access to more of each over the course of the game, but he's really, you want to get the most use out of these sorts of cards. Like, the more you discard, the less recovery and damage output you'll be able to put out against a deck like Fabien's, and especially because towards the later stages in the game, because Fabien will be item locking Robin, he won't be able to play those items anyway, so the more he can play turn 1 the better, and so wasting a few early on this might end up being a little bit of a sad face moment for Robin.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward for him, but I think that's why he went for the Professor Juniper, just so that he could try and then draw into as many items as possible, cash in on them before he gets locked out of them for the remainder of the game. But looks like he's not got much else going for him. He's going to bench a Pseudo Wudo, it looks like, and he has a couple more items to play. He'll most likely play the Versus Seeker this turn, preemptively, just in case Seismitoad does use Quaking Punch the following one. So we're going to see him go ahead, grab the Colress preemptively, and it looks like he's just going to use the free retreat, thanks to the ability Dark Cloak, and go into the Darkrai GX and pass it over.
Yeah, so preemptively using Versus Seeker to get back a supporter from your discard pile against item on the deck is something very, very important to do. Not everyone always remembers to do it, and sometimes you get caught out and you just forget, and it ends up just losing you the game entirely. Yeah. So Robin, of course, being the high-level player as he is, he's not going to fall victim to that. He has remembered to do it. Now back onto Fabien's side, we see he's got the double colours to put on the Toad. That's really good for him. But his supporter was Colress. Now, right now, Colress is the same as a Shauna. He's only going to be able to stuff it and draw 5. And Joe, I'm sure you have lots to say about Shauna specifically.
Oh, I do indeed. But yeah, Colress is normally going to be drawing you more cards than 5, but it's one of those things that just gets better as the game progresses. So you run the risk of having Colress in your deck because it's not fantastic in the early turns. That's why typically you only see one copy, because it's something that you can reuse over and over again with Versus Seeker without having many of them as liabilities in the early turns. So We're going to see a big Ultra Ball here. He's going to grab himself a Shaman EX to draw 6 more cards. He's definitely going to be looking to move that Tapu Lele this turn. That is the big thing he wants to get going. Maybe if he can combo that with something like a Hypnotoxic Laser, he could have a very powerful turn here.
Yeah, he could. The one thing he really needs is a Float Stone. It looks like he missed it. He did hit the laser, though, so he might be able to, as long as he gets a Heads here, and then maybe Robin gets a Tails, although Fabien just hits a Tails anyway, so just the Poison this time.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to have to end his turn there. Maybe, does he have the option for a Garbodor? If there's no tool... Oh, he's already evolved into a different Garbodor.
Yeah,
My apologies. So yeah, he just has to pass it over to Robin. There is the poison damage being 3 damage counters in between turns thanks to the Burbank City Gym Stadium. One of the biggest combos that we have seen in Expanded for a long time is this Hypnotoxic Laser being combined with Burbank City Gym to rack up damage counters. Even when you look at something like Seismitoad EX, it's known for being an annoyance because of the Quaking Punch, but when you combine it with these lasers and the stadium, you're dealing a large amount of damage in between turns.
Yeah. What it really does is it enables Toad, because 30 damage a turn, more often than not, especially in Expanded, is not really enough to win you the game on its own. You need these extra little ramps to actually put things in range to just keep Quaking Punching and make this pressure worthwhile. And Laser, absolutely, as you said, Joe, is one of the ways you can really do that, along with the Burbank City Gym. Now, Robin did have the counter stadium this time. He was able to play the Skyfield, so now going back to Fabien's turn, Robin's Darkrai will only be taking 1 poison damage instead of 3, but still getting that 3 counters on is going to help Fabien build his way to an eventual knockout.
Yeah, and speaking of building, because there was no item lock on Robin's side, he's going to try and benefit from this Colress for a big 8 cards. Hopefully he can start finding some of these Dark Patches and Max Elixirs, but it looks like he's not found many of them. I think it's just 1 Max Elixir at the right other side of his his hand. Yeah. One of the big things he did find was actually a Dark Pulse Darkrai. That's one big thing missing from his board right now, and as we know, he's prized 3 Ultra Balls, so it's quite fortunate that he's been able to find one finally.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's the thing he's going to look for making one-hit KOs.
I think the big unfortunate thing for Robin is that, as we mentioned at the start of the game, he's prized 3 Ultra Balls. Normally, maybe you could do a Chorus, so you dig big for an Ultra Ball, and then maybe discard a couple of things, grab a Shaman to dig even further, to, as you said, make use of the fact that he was able to dodge item block for a second turn in a row. But because he has 3 Ultra Ball prize, then all of a sudden seeing your Shaman and making use of that dig is a lot less likely, and as we saw there, he basically missed any dig cards. You saw a couple of Battle Compressors, but those don't let you see more cards, they just let you deck fin. It's not really what he wants to do right now.
So we are going to see the free retreat thanks to the Dark Cloak ability. He's going to move into his other Darkrai GX, which is ready to go, and it can deal 130 damage this turn with the Dark Head attack. But actually he plays Hypnotoxic Laser here, so he could be taking the tempo and going for 2 prizes very quickly here with the Dead End GX attack.
Yeah, because Dead End GX, as we mentioned, if before we saw it in round 1 actually, if your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by any special condition, Dead End GX just knocks it out. No questions asked.
Yeah, no questions asked. Some players do go for the Malimar EX approach, others go for the Hypnotoxic Laser. Some people play a combination of both. The Hypnotoxic Laser is the much more proactive way of getting the Dead End GX going, because you only need physically 3 energy in the play, whereas the Malamar is an extra energy that you need to attach physically that turn. So it's reliant more on hitting Dark Patches and such. So this is a much faster approach that Robin's gone for here, and Fabien's going to try and prey on this by using an N straight away.
Yeah, the other thing about going for the Malamar approach is that it makes you more vulnerable to ability lock. As we've already seen, Garbatox and Garbodor is not present in Expanded. It's definitely so much around as it is in Standard, so that's definitely something you have to watch out for. And not only that, but Laser can sometimes just net you that little bit extra damage. You're 10 short of a KO as well. And even in this situation, although Robin himself doesn't play Burbank City Gym, he can make use of his opponent's Burbank in these sorts of matches and get more poison damage that way.
So we are going to see Fabien simply ended with a Quaking Punch. Robin had a pretty quick turn himself. He attached to his Dark Pulse Darkrai and then just simply announced Dark Cleave.
Yeah, so Dark Cleave doing 130 damage and then just not affected by resistance. Not that it matters here, but maybe again, if you go up against some kind of fairy-based deck, something Gardevoir focus, you can actually still get a 2-shot with Dark Cleave. So not bad.
Yeah, and this is a pretty good turn for Fabien. He's able to Ace a Roller, picking up his Seismitoad, that Psychic Energy that he attached on the very first turn of the game that you think you're never going to get value out of that. Instead, he's able to Ace a Roller, simply attach that to his Garbodor, and Robin has played so many item cards that already Trash Launch is getting enough to knock out the remaining HP of that Darkrai.
And this is the catch-22 that you find yourself in when you're playing against Seismitoad Garbodor. Now that it has access to this Trash Launch Garbodor as well, the Garbotoxin one, sure, you can play your items really quickly, make use of the fact that you only have like 1 or 2 turns of items, but then you're going to get punished for that as well, because then the Trash Launch Garbodor is going to come in and hit you for a ton of damage.
Yeah.
So it's also you can't win no matter which way you play it.
Yeah, it's one of those catch-22s, as you said. The Seismitoad makes you want to rush and play as many items before they get locked out of the game, but at the same time, you get punished in the late game for the item usage as well. So we're going to see Robin, it looks like he hit a Max Elixir, and that's actually really important for him in order to get the knockout in response to this Trash Launch Garbodor, and he's also going to play an N himself, so he'd have to be fairly fortunate, actually, I think, right now to get another energy, and it's going to be integral. This is a really big 4-card N, I think.
Yeah, if he can hit 1 more energy off of this, then he's probably going to be fine. Oh,
okay, there we go.
Not just 1, but 2 Dark Patches for Robin means that, yeah, he will be able to take the return KO, and this is, although obviously, as we just said, the Trash Launch Garbodor is very strong because it forces, it forces you to, not force you, but it makes you potentially get punished no matter which way you play the game. At the same time, it does open your opponent to play items again because you're not item locking them, so then Robin can have a turn like this where, oh, I can see my Dark Patches, I can actually get everything charged up once more, and now all of a sudden I have a response, whereas perhaps I wouldn't have had one before.
This is so good. This is so good for Robin. Hitting both Dark Patches means he was able to use his Darkrai GX's ability and simply Dark Patch twice onto it to get it out of nowhere back into the active and attacking, and being able to use that Dark Cleave to take a knockout in response on this Garbodor. A very, very nice end for him there.
A very nice end for him, and doing that means that, of course, I mean, Fabien, there's almost no way, in fact, yeah, there's actually no way that he's able to KO this Darkrai next turn. There is no more Trash Launch Garbodor available to him. There's no even Trubbish he can evolve. He's bench 1 now, but of course, he can't evolve that straight away. So now Robin can, just take this first KO with this Dark Cleave, and then even with the Seismitoad inactive, he can just use the Dark Click ability again, retreat into the Dark Pulse Darkrai, and knock that out as long as he gets a few more energy in play.
Yeah, it's a really big swing as well. Just having more energy in play means that the Dark Pulse is much more likely to deal with the Seismitoad much quicker as well. So we've seen how Fabien tries to deny prizes by Acerola-ing these Fury-belted Seismitoads. It's a big part of this deck, trying to deny prizes, and that may not be relevant anymore if Robin gets to a high enough amount of damage.
Absolutely.
So we see a big laser here, and it gets heads.
It is an absolutely massive laser. Quaking Punch there, going to do 70 combined with poison damage, and it's a heads-tails. Robin flips tails on the sleep, and this is why Laser is one of the most frustrating cards to play against in the Pokemon trading card game.
Yeah, and Robin looks at his hand. He has no way of moving out of the Darkrai, so he just has to take 30 more damage and pass it back over to Fabien. And that's all it takes, really, to get back in the game when you're playing a Seismitoad EX deck.
And another huge turn for Fabien as he has the Garbotoxin Garbodor as well. So now, even without a sleep, Robin is going to be forced to discard energy if he wants to retreat, meaning that he won't be able to do as much damage with Dark Pulse. And actually, this Seismitoad all of a sudden becomes a lot harder to deal with.
Man, Hypnotoxic Laser still is just such a big factor in the expanded format. We haven't seen it much today, but in the right spots it can completely change games, and we're seeing Robin have to grit his teeth here and have to pay retreat in order to preserve his Darkrai GX, not going down for free, bringing up his Darkrai EX that has the Dark Pulse attack, and I can't see much else going on in his hand, just a bunch of items, and that's what Toad loves to play against.
Yeah, and the one saving grace for Fabien at this point is, no, rather for Robin, is that Fabien doesn't have a supporter to play. He has you've got Sycamore. I mean, he hasn't got an Acerola, so he's going to be forced to attack with the Seismitoad again probably, and then Dark Pulse will be able to knock it out. But it means that Robin will be able to at least take 2 more prizes.
Yep, so we do see Fabien once again be content, well, no other option really, to just go for the Quaking Punch, doing the 40 damage and still locking Robin out of the game as much as he can here.
Yeah, definitely. As we see, he does have Fabien has another Trash Launch Garbodor ready to go as well, so that's only going to be 1 Psychic Energy away from potentially putting out a big threat. An interesting Karen from Robin.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know. I think he actually has no Pokemon in there, so I think he's just trying to burn it from his own hand, because he doesn't want to draw into this card again if he gets hit with an N. So again, it's some of these small things that you see from top players where you think, well, this is a 0 impact play, why would he do it? It's so that he can't draw back into that Karen later on in the game, because when you're being hit with Quaking Punch especially, you have a large a much larger proportion of cards are useless to you.
Yeah.
And now that he's going down to one prize, he wants to have as many good draws as possible.
Yeah, I was going to say the one downside of him using the Karen is that he could potentially give back attacking options for Fabien, but at the same time, it's also potentially more useless cards that Fabien will now draw off of his own end. So although he's giving him back resources, it actually may end up weirdly, in a way, benefiting Robin.
Yeah, that also could be a big factor here, as Fabien is only going to be drawing himself 4 cards because of the 2 that he's taken already. So let's see how he does here. He does have the Floatstone Garbodor active. I don't know if he was able to find himself a Psychic Energy. That's going to be a big deal here, whether or not he can hit that.
Oh,
he does have it. There we go.
Is that going to be enough for the KO? Yes, it is.
I'm pretty certain it was many turns earlier, so I'm guessing this is going to be a ridiculous amount of damage, and he's going to go himself down to 2 prize cards, and Robin has a very awkward turn here. Everything has 1 energy on it, but because of the ability lock, nothing has a free retreat cost, so whatever he promotes here has to be able to either take a hit or be the single prize option, which is the Pseudo Wudo, but how can he move that later on? Maybe he really needs to find a Guzma pretty quickly here.
Yeah, one thing that is very important to note, Robin does not play any kind of tool removal, he does not play Xerosic, he does not play any kind of Field Blower, so this ability lock is going to stay for pretty much the rest of the game, and as you mentioned, because he isn't able to free retreat, he can't easily say Dark Patch, attach, retreat, and then be able to take the win that way with Dark Cleave. And instead he's just looks like he might be just forced to do a manual attachment and maybe pass. He's going to have a quick look at the discard pile first to see what Fabien's actually burned through, but Fabien might just be able to take this,
We need to definitely count the items in the discard pile. Robin wouldn't leave the Darkrai in the active position just to lose the game. He definitely wouldn't do that. He has a Guzma in his hand, so maybe this is a stalling Guzma. That is most likely what it's going to be, and he's just going to have to hope that he can trap this Seismitoad EX for a couple of turns as he just passes it back over here.
Yeah, but it looks like as a computer search from Fabien, he's going to be able to get something.
Just Versus Seeker is all he needs. There we go. He's going to use that Versus Seeker. He can Guzma, which gets his own Seismitoad EX out of the way and brings up a 2 prize Pokemon, which is in range of his Trashalanche, and steal the game there.
Yeah, Fabien winning a very, very close series. That could have easily gone to either player at any point, but the big turn, as we mentioned, that Hypnotoxic Laser, heads, tails, gave Fabien the extra turn he needed to just pinch that win away.
Yeah, absolutely. Robin was in such a dominant board state. He had so much energy in play. He had a really good end to 4 cards where he hit double Dark Patch, and it looked like he was so far ahead. He dealt with the only Garbodor in play, but not only did that laser by Fabien a turn, it also meant that he could develop his Trubishes into both Garbodors. The combination of ability lock and then a one-hit KO machine, which is what the Trashalanche Garbodor is. It's just such a powerful combination, and we saw that laser have a huge effect in that game.
Yeah, and this to me just really shows off the strength of this Sideswipe Garbodor archetype, especially now that, as we mentioned before, it's gained access to this alternate attacker, whereas before, you'd be forced to just very slowly grind out a game just doing Quaking Punches, and maybe you finish off with a Grenade Hammer to win that little bit quicker, but now you have this alternate attacker which is it's not doing 130 and damaging your own 2 things, it's doing a lot of damage. It's taking 1 shots, and it's going to pretty much destroy anything your opponent puts out if they force to play loads of items, which they probably will if they're playing against Seismitoad in the first place.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's just a single prize, so it's a threat that your opponent has to deal with, but in doing so, they often skew their own prize trade and slow down their own win conditions, so it's just good in every department, really.
Yeah, just that's a really solid addition to this deck, really cementing it as one of the staple expanded archetypes, I would say.
Indeed. So we're going to see Robin's going to get to go first here, and really what can he do to adapt his game plan? He had a couple of awkward turns. Obviously his prizes were bad last game. He couldn't find Hooper, he couldn't find Ultra Ball, so he had a lot of energy in play, but it was never really on the Dark Pulse Pokemon. Is that something that he needs to do this game?
Probably, and I think he had a bit of awkward bench management early. Oh my goodness!
That is incredible.
Sorry to interrupt myself there, but 3 Garbodors there, prize from Fabien's side. Is that all the Garbodors he plays?
Yeah.
No. He has access to 1.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So he plays a mixture of the Garbotoxins. He plays 1 from Breakpoint, 1 from the Dragon's Exalted, but he has only access to 1 Trashalanche.
That is going to be very awkward for him. Robin himself, he's prized 2 dark patches, so that's not great for him either. It looks like Robin only had an attachment and a Hypnotoxic Laser. Fabien actually led with his Turtonator GX of all things, so this is looking like such a weird board state. I've never seen a Turtonator in the active with a Fighting Fury Belt and a Psychic Energy before.
Just like mind blown.
They're finding new ways to play the game every single day. So here we go. After Robin had a slow turn 1, he's now able to dump his hand and get a fresh one. Gets down another Darkrai as well as a Pseudo Wudo here. So hopefully he's going to be able to develop a little bit more now.
Yeah, he's able to rip the Sycamore thankfully for him, which means that he was very quickly the first to draw out of both players, not drawing anything useful at all. And he sees even the Battle Compressor as well. So this game might be over quite quickly if Fabien doesn't find something in the next few turns, because, in fact, can Robin just take the win this turn?
If he gets a Dead End GX, he can win.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm not sure if he has any other Dark Patch or Max Elixirs in his list. Because he used a Battle Compressor first, getting rid of a live target, which is the Dark Energy, I would imagine that he doesn't have a Max Elixir in his hand. So either he has the Dark Patch or he doesn't. Maybe he has Shaman EX to draw a few more cards here. It could be over very, very quickly. Yeah,
all he needs is one more energy attachment. He has already attached one from hand, so he would need to dig it. Yeah, there's a Shaman. Did you see it?
This is big.
He has got to Douse
Machine. That is maybe all. Oh, he can Battle Compressor away a Dark Patch.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
So Robin wins a very quick game 2 of a 2-card Douse Machine Battle Compressor combo, able to discard the Dark Patch he needs and get it back to do Dead End GX to knock out the Turtonator, and we are on to game 3.
Wow! As quickly as that. That's one of the aspects of the Darkrai archetype, that it can just get so much energy into play and access some of these very powerful attacks. And one of the crucial points is that Robin is choosing to play the Hypnotoxic Laser build. If he didn't play Hypnotoxic Laser, he probably wouldn't have got the win that game, because Malamar is a turn slower many times because he needs to get that manual attachment. So it's his own decision making which has led to this outcome.
Yeah, definitely. He would have needed to not attach manually to the Darkrai when he used the ability, and then hope to hit Malamar plus energy attachment plus 2 like a Max X and a Dark Patch, which is again not impossible but so much less likely, because it's just much less easy. It's like you said, it's less proactive.
Yeah.
Whereas because he had the laser already and Fabien wasn't able to retreat or that cured the special condition anyway, he needed much less to get the energy onto the Darkrai GX to do the GX attack and win, and he was able to do it.
And that win is so huge for Robin because, as you can see the clock ticking down, he still has just over half an hour to try and complete another game. And we've seen the first game was fairly long, but because both decks can ramp into such high damage output, it does become a quick exchange after a couple of turns of both setting up both sides of the board. So we're most likely going to have enough time to complete this game here.
Yeah. Also, as you can see here, we have seen both players' prizes. Neither one of them this time prizing anything too bad. We see like a couple of mixture of things, but nothing unworkable. Although Acerola being prized again for, I'm not sure about again, but Acerola being prized for Fabien's side could come to hurt him.
Indeed. So we do see Fabien kick off. He is going to attach a Psychic Energy once again to his Seismitoad. He actually plays a Dedenne as one of his tech Pokemon, which is an interesting choice from him. Maybe he's expecting some Yveltal variants, something like that, and maybe Rayquaza, Mega Rayquaza as well. He is going to simply Tapu Lele, find himself a Juniper, and off the Juniper it's as if he used a Bridget, because he found lots of basic Pokemon and then passes back over to Robin.
Yeah, something that's interesting as a difference compared to from Standard against Expanded is that although some decks play Bridget in Expanded, nowhere near as many do, because something we also mentioned is that the Expanded format is so much faster. You have so many different consistency options that let you both set up in the early turns but also let you dig through in the late game, so there's almost no point dedicating that slot to Bridget because it's too slow almost, which is weird to say because everyone in Standard is just resigned to playing that card. But here most people are just opting against it because there's just not enough time, and also of course it can only get one EX.
Yeah.
So if you're playing an EX focused deck, then Bridget isn't very useful to you.
There's only a handful of GX focused decks in Expanded. A lot of other archetypes are based around EXs, so much more traditional Hooper EX, Shaman EX builds are roaming around, as you say. No one really has time to use Bridget other than exclusively just some Garbodor variants, because they basically slow your opponent down in the process. Just by being a Garbodor, they slow the game down. So we are going to see Robin go for the Battle Compressor, doing the very typical thing of putting a Darkrai GX as well as 2 Darkness Energies in there. You've got to expect that he'll want to get that Darkrai back on the board and maybe continue his turn with some Dark Patches or maybe more Max Elixirs. The aim of the game is always with Darkrai. Get as much energy into play here.
Yeah, and equally, something else that will help him do that is this Oblivion Wing Yveltal that we've seen play in so many Dark archetypes, just letting you do 30 damage and then attach a Dark Energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon, opting to hold off on the Dark Patches in his hand because, of course, he was able to attach using the Oblivion Wing Yveltal anyway, but also equally, Robin's hand is not that great. He's got, this would be a Sky Field, and 2 Dark Patches, and maybe a Dark Energy.
Whereas Fabien, he is motoring through his deck. He's going to use another Professor Juniper here. He's able to evolve into a Trash Launch Garbodor. He's going to attach a second Psychic Energy, which fulfills the double colourless cost, and he is going to finish his turn with a Quaking Punch, which is exactly what he was looking for.
Yeah. And now, not only that, but because Robin is not drawing useful cards, and equally now he's under item lock, now it's even less likely he's able to draw out of it because he needs to hit a physical supporter or maybe a shaman or something to get his hand working again.
Yeah, and as you can see, he can't do much. He can simply manually attach to his Darkrai EX on the bench and announce Oblivion Wing, no darkness energy even in the discard pile, so no extra ramp of energy, which is really what he's hoping for. Whereas Fabien, he's going to put down the Burbank City Gym, as well as another double colourless energy, so setting up multiple Seismitoads now, and you can see why this is still such an age-old powerhouse.
Yeah, definitely. But the Robin does catch a little bit of a break as he did draw Colress return, so that's at least something he can play that and actually draw a decent amount. He can draw 6, and he's got the Skyfield down as well, so you can stop the Burbank from being the poison damage rather from being too much of an issue, and here comes the Colress, so hopefully he'll be able to find something out of this and get himself back in this game.
Yeah, he's going to be looking for something like the Dark Cloak Darkrai as one of the things, as well as just as much darkness energy as possible. His deck is full of item cards which are currently being shut off, which is kind of awkward for him, so let's see what he can do off of this 6-card Colress. Again, not fantastic, but it does the job.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Professor Oak's New Fury, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, a few darkness energy, and I think, yeah, he got pretty much exactly what he was looking for, to be honest. He may still end on a slower turn with an Oblivion Wing, but really he has manual attachments, and that's really all he can do while he's under item lock, just keep trying to slowly get as many attackers going as possible.
Yeah. I think the problem with using Oblivion Wing is that, again, he's not able to use any items to actually discard energy from his hand, so, I mean, he's seen energy, he can do these manual attachments, that's fine, but... Okay, that is what he's opted to go for. Something else he could have done is maybe retreated into the Darkrai now, but the one with Dark Pulse. But the reason he didn't do that is because then he just falls prey to maybe Fabien having an Acerola as he
there we go
exactly on cue.
Yeah.
So that would have been like more of a waste of an attack. But whereas instead at this point he just maybe the Yveltal goes down, but that's much less problematic.
Yeah, so we do see the Acerola going into the Garbodor that has the Float Stone, and then going into his other Seismitoad, which already had the double colourless energy attached, and thanks to that extra damage from Hypnotoxic Laser, he's able to finish off the Yveltal and take his first prize of the game. Robin actually drew for his turn before promoting an active Pokemon, which is a little bit sketchy.
No,
but
that's a Nicky no-no.
Yeah, that's not how it should be played, but Robin was, in the end, just carried on with his turn. I think he was just frustrated by his own hand not having much going for him, so we are going to see another Hypnotoxic Laser. These are so big, and again, it's a heads from Fabien. He's using them in the right spots, and they're being very impactful in both these games so far. Well, all three, I guess.
Yeah, and another Acerola as well. Of course, he just ripped it from his prize.
Yeah.
So now, wow.
Undoing so much damage, even when there's not a Burbank City in play, a Burbank City Gym, I should say. He's still letting this little pokes add up a little bit more and more. Robin does, fortunately, wake up from his sleep, but still under item lock, still with not many options here.
And we were saying before how, Hypnotoxic Laser is a lot more proactive, but now his way of triggering Dead End GX is coming back to bite him because, of course, under item lock, you can't play the laser. If he was playing Malamar, he could attach an energy to it, and he would still be able to do it. But as it stands, though, the Seismitoad is going to be ruining Robin's day.
That's actually one of the reasons why many players do opt for Malamar. Not only can you activate Dead End GX when you're under item lock, but also it means that you can maybe break item lock on turns because you can send a Seismitoad EX to sleep. Maybe they can't find themselves a Guzma or another way of moving out of the active. So Robin's choice helped him in game 2 to win very quickly, but maybe punishing him in this game. Yeah,
potentially. As you see there, he's looking through just to see with a Hooper. He's using Scoundrel Ring and grab himself his own Seismitoad, which looks like he plays, as well as another Dark Pulse Darkrai and a Shaman.
Yeah, it's going to be strong. He does need to free retreat out of this guy, I would imagine, trying to get a Dark Pulse maybe, hoping really that Fabien doesn't have more Acerola plays, because Fabien's going to do that at will, basically, every single turn that he has the option to, because it's just so strong for him.
Yeah, definitely. As we I wonder, see, so if Robin plays down the Shaman here, what's he trying to dig for, really? Because he still can't play more items to like, thin out his hand loads, so, I mean, I guess he's just trying to dig for more supporters. Yeah, so item,
and in any other situation, you'd be happy to see those cards, but not when Seismitoad is around, so we are just going to see the free retreat from Robin, and he's going to be going for a Dark Pulse here, dealing 120 damage, and we know that Fabien already has the double colourless energy in hand. I'm not sure if he has a Versus Seeker or not. But he is going to definitely attach to that Seismitoad, put down a Trubbish, and use a Fighting Fury on the Dedenne of all things. And he is going to instead go for Versus Seeker for Juniper. He doesn't really need 2 Acerola. I think the thing he's looking for more this turn is just refreshing his hand more than anything else.
Yeah, at this point he's... Because this is something that perhaps some players will be tempted to do, think, oh, I can Acerola again, it leaves me with nothing but it's fine. But in this instance it's actually not fine, because if he did that, Fabien would be left with no draw outs and just... basically nothing, and so then Robin can just 2-hit KO the Seismitoad, and then he's in a bit of a spot of bother. But instead, because Fabien has a follow-up attacker ready to go, he realises, right, okay, I'm okay to let the Seismitoad go down, I'll play the Juniper, make sure I have cards for next turn, and then that way I can maybe do another Acerola later instead of just potentially losing the game because I just really wanted to Acerola and get greedy.
Yeah, I like this approach from him. It's much more patient, it's much more progressive. Now he can, as you've just seen with an Ultra Ball, he can grab himself Garbotoxin Garbodor, which is going to shut down abilities, which is really important for Robin's deck, especially the Dark Cloak, and going to be able to play another Hypnotoxic Laser here, trying to catch the Darkrai in the active, and he once again gets heads, which is excellent for him, and he's also going to follow up with an N. So the 2 prizes that he basically allowed Robin to take last turn by not using Acerola now means that he has a much more powerful N on his side.
Did he not Juniper the same turn?
No, this is a new turn.
Okay, was Robin turn that quick? Or
Yeah. He simply took the knockout, basically. Okay. He attached to the bench and just took a knockout.
Okay.
So Robin's going to be shuffling up, getting just the 4 cards, Fabien getting 5 himself, but he's more than likely going to be ending on a Quaking Punch here.
So, yeah. And with that, so, I mean, he really loves to dig for a Vermank, but it looks like he missed that, so yeah, he's going to have to be content with Quaking Punch for 50, but still decent. This Darkrai is working its way towards a knockout, and another Tails from Robin!
You can see his facial expression, he's not too pleased about that. We do, of course, have Guzma now available to us as a means of getting around sleep and other status conditions, but when you just don't have it in hand, it's still just as powerful as ever.
Yeah, not to mention, this is of course expanded where people are playing lower amounts of physical support accounts, so normally in expanded you'd rely on Versus Seeker to get the Guzma back, but instead that's just not going to work. In fact, he's only playing 1. Oh, no, 2.
Yeah, he's playing 2, my bad.
Yeah, he's playing 2, but still just not really ideal. Like, if this was standard, it might arguably be fine, because we'd be playing
Look at this.
3 physical Guzma, and another
Getsus. It's a big Getsus swing. Look how large Fabien's hand size is now, and Robin really doesn't have much going on in his own hand here. This is really dominant stuff from Seismitoad EX, proving its worth once again.
Hands down, one of the most powerful cards of the XY block, if not just the whole expanded format. Just, again, one of these cards that maybe at the first glance, if you're really not that sure about it, can look a little bit underwhelming in terms of damage, but it just does not matter. The amount of pressure it puts on with that item lock, especially when, as we mentioned already, building up with the laser damage and everything else, and it's got a Fighting Fury on it as well, so it's so hard to KO. How do you deal with this if you're Robin?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a difficult battle for sure. We see the Stadium replacement. That's why Robin opted to discard his Seismitoad EX that was on his bench. Fabien also was able to get a Psychic Energy attachment in there to get his Garbodor ready. And it depends how many items are in the discard. I don't think there's many from Robin, just because he's had slow turns and has been under the lock. But you can see that, again, it's just the painful retreat. Yeah. Darkrai is so smooth when it has its abilities, but without them, there are glaring weaknesses.
Yeah. And he had to retreat there as well, because if he didn't, the poison would actually KO the Darkrai coming back into Fabien's turn, which if you're a Toad and you're KOing something with poison going back to your turn, it's about as good a turn as you can ask for.
As good as it gets. Yeah. So we are going to see another Versus Seeker from Fabien. He's got that Acerola once again, and you're just seeing how powerful this cycle can be. He's going to go into his Garbodor. I'm not sure if he has enough items in there to use it, but he can simply play down all of the cards he's just picked back up with Acerola, very similar to how we've seen Golisopod play in the standard format, and just get that 1 manual attachment to pay the 2 energy attack cost and simply continue his lock.
Full throttle, no mercy from Fabien as he just does Quaking Punch again, and Robin can attack back with a Dark Cleave doing 130, but all Fabien needs is another Acerola, and Robin's going to be very, very sad, although it looks like he doesn't have it this time.
He has picked up another Hypnotoxic Laser that he can play, and he's going to see the outcome once again at heads. Wow, he's been running pretty hot this game, and we do see what else can he do. I'm not sure how large his deck size is. That looks kind of thin. He's gone through a lot of cards here, but I think he should be fine for the next few turns. He does have the N in hand as well, which he may be debating playing. But no, he's pretty content to just go for Quaking Punch once again here.
Yeah. And once again, if Robin gets a Tails here...
Oh, we can't see it.
No!
Oh, it's a Tails! It's such a big flip. Oh, my goodness.
So now Robin won't be able to play around this KO going back into Fabien's turn. He's going to be forced to pass.
He needs a Guzma. It doesn't look like he has it. He's just frustrated. He's not even looking at his own hand. He's disgusted with this outcome, quite frankly. He has to pass, and there is the poison knockout in between turns. Fabien's going to be able to take up 2 prize cards, and Robin sends up his Darkrai, but now it's Fabien's turn. This is just so glorious for him.
Again, if you're Robin, how do you deal with this? You're trying all you can, but your opponent flips heads and you flip tails. You got no outs to retreat. You essentially pass to give your opponent 2 free prizes. It's like, oh, I can't do it. I can't take it.
Yeah, it's got to feel pretty bad right now. He does attach manually a Psychic Energy to his Seismitoad EX and continue to go for Quaking Punch here. It's an interesting attachment from him. It's saying, Robin, if you don't have a Darkness Energy, I can just pay retreat out of this Seismitoad and make life much harder for you next turn. So he's just sort of hedging that Robin doesn't have much.
Yeah.
Turns out he has a Guzma here.
Bit late.
Yeah, a little bit late for him. He would have loved that a couple of turns ago, and he's got a really tough decision what to go into here. He's going to bring up his Hooper EX, it looks like, and he's going to bring up Fabien's other Seismitoad EX, just hoping that there's not another double colourless energy in his hand so that he can maybe get out of this item lock.
Yeah, except Fabien had the computer search ready to go.
Yep.
So
and 2 double colourless energies.
Yeah,
he was prepared for that.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, sure, you can Guzma, but if you can't cut down their hand size, which obviously you can't because you'd have to do that with N, then, chances are they're going to have the out. But, of course, if you're Robin, you have to play to your outs. You can't just assume that they're going to have it if there's literally another option you can do. Oh, Robin finally rips a Sycamore.
Yeah, he gets a Professor Sycamore. Look how many items he's drawn. Oh, my goodness. I mean, he can replace the stadium, but I think that's all he can do with his own hand this turn. Pretty grim stuff for him. Seismitoad, you are just the worst.
You're not having no reservations about your opinion on Seismitoad EX, then clearly show.
It's a powerful card, and I'm all behind it. I've played it myself plenty of times, but just Robin's facial expression is how everyone feels when playing against Seismitoad EX.
Yeah, no one wants to be on the receiving end of a Quaking Punch. That's what it ultimately comes down to. But when you're in the driver's seat and you're just there quaking away.
Yeah, Fabien's having fun. We see him once again go for the Quaking Punch, really starting to rack up on this Darkrai EX. He still has 3 prizes remaining, but this Darkrai is getting more and more in range every single turn, and when there's that Garbotoxin developed once again, it's going to be hard to move this 2 retreat cost Darkrai.
Yeah, there it is, another Quaking Punch. Although, how many cards does Fabien have left in his deck?
He has 1, but he's clutching onto a couple of ends, I think, so he'll have a lot of time.
Yeah, that's fine. I was worried for a second. I thought that he might actually let it go, but no, he's got the end ready, so Fabien will draw his last card in the deck is also an end, so he's fine.
He's got a lot of turns to carry on spamming the Quaking Punch attack, which it seems simple to do. It seems like, it's an obvious thing to do, but it was brave to bring Seismitoad to this tournament, and he's playing a very good list and playing the deck very well as well. So lots of combination of things, which is why he's doing so well with Seismitoad. It's not just as simple as I found double colourless and I can item lock and win. He's progressed himself into this state where the combination of item lock and ability lock is just really punishing this Darkrai deck. Yeah,
the thing is about Seismitoad is that some people were fearing that So Good Lissapod might make its sort of surge in standard might transition over to expanded because it's a deck that slots into expanded quite easily, and of course first impression deals with Seismitoad EX very easily, even if it has a Fighting Fury belt. But Fabien is like, nah man, it's cool. I'm not gonna play against Lissapod.
There it is.
Oh.
He had the Guzma full game. Robin didn't have anything, just the item lock doing just so much work that game. Yeah. All you could see was item cards in Robin's hand throughout that entire game, and just Seismitoad says no.
No, Seismitoad says no. A huge congratulations to Fabien, who will now be going on to 5-1 rather than 5-0-1. We actually got the records a little bit mixed up there in the beginning, but both these players were on 4-1, so now